Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ramblings from the Warp from Late Night Dice. As always, I'm joined by the great Kyle and the beautiful Christian.
Oh, thank you. How are you doing, everyone?
Hi, everybody.
I think that's going to be my next thing is every time I'm going to pay y'all some weird compliment I would never give you in person, and we're just going to roll with it. So,
Oh, nope, I'm recording that shit and I'm bringing it everywhere.
Gabe called me pretty once. You
He
eat
called
a
me
dick.
pretty.
So, Kyle, you had something you wanted to talk about this episode. Hit us with it. What do you got, bro?
Yeah, so we went live this weekend, me and you, and we played our first 3.0 game.
Caveat. We understand the production is lacking. It was our first time ever doing one. The lighting was a little weird. It was a little washed out. We feel you on that. We're gonna work on it.
I'm gonna start up I'm gonna put a Venmo up on our channel, and if you guys want to give us money to buy cameras and lights and shit, then y'all can start bitching about quality. All right.
No, so it's in the cars, right? So it's in the roadmap. I've started making a rig to do some tabletop stuff. It's just a matter of it's a combination problem of time and availability because right now I'm still gearing up for Warzone, and after that we have Lake Hammer coming up. So the next month and a half is very compact for me. So getting everything set up upstairs in the game room is a little bit more tricky, but it's definitely in the roadmap.
Yeah, techie. We'll get you some lights.
So Kyle, what was this
Christian,
topic you would?
We'll get you another camera to roll the dice under.
hey, people love seeing the dice rolls. I thought
I
y'all were
agree.
gonna pull out where Gabe made because Gabe, you made the table. I don't know if Gabe made this badass table as y'all saw when he was rolling. He has everything you need that pulls out under there on every single side. Hold where you roll the dice, hold your bourbon, hold your drinks, hold everything. So I thought that's where they were gonna put it, but I wasn't there to correct them, guys. I'm sorry, but everyone loves seeing dice rolls. Everyone likes calling you out on your dice rolls. So that's why I was like, hey, we need that. But
I agree.
I will work on it in the next production. Sorry, Kyle. Let's get to your topic, brother. What you got, man?
So we played, and it's Salamanders, that raffle army. You guys go get your tickets because that army kicks dick right now. And it's not even a full 3,000 points, so you got some room to add more to it and make it worse or better, however you want to look at it. That's a badass Salamanders army. Against my Thousand Sons, which was kind of a cobbled together list. But I realized that I don't know how to build a list. And I don't mean I don't know how to map out a list. I mean, I don't know what I should put in the list or how I should put in the list or why I should even be trying to go for a 3,000 point list if I'm brand new to this game. So can we look at how to build a list, what it takes to build a list, what you should be looking for, thinking about, imagining?
So let's work our way backwards on that question. So this is probably one of the most time-honored questions that every new player has with any game ever. I don't care if it's Horus Heresy or 40K or Flashpoint or Shatterpoint. The same things always pop up is like, what should I use? What's good? And how should I use it?
Can we start an Icy Veins for Warhammer 30K?
Right. Dude, Icy Veins, that's a throwback. Ooh, shit. That made my gray hair tickle. So here's the first thing, right? And this is a personal principle. This is a Gabe idea. There's tons of people who disagree with me on this, and they're welcome to. That's fine. I believe in building all comers lists. Right? I think that you should have a tool in the tool belt for everything. And one of the analogies you heard me say over and over again is like, there's nothing worse than eating soup with a fork. It sucks. What I mean by that is, if you're lined up across fire drakes, don't throw tacticals at them. You should have something in your You should have something in your list that can handle a little bit of everything. Now, where that becomes a little bit more challenging is specifically with the historical reenactivist group that calls themselves Horus Heresy players. people get wrapped up in the mental concept of, well, that doesn't follow the theme of the Legion. Okay. If you are playing corrupted word bearers, absolutely it is bad manners to be like, here's a Titan. That's not what they're not going to run a Warhound with some corrupted dudes. Like, that was more for big theaters, right? They're not going to bring a bunch of really squared away Marines. It's going to be a lot of malefic units, a lot of corrupted units. I can understand where the need to follow a theme or a trend will pop in. But you should have some answers for a little bit of everything. And then you yourself need to work on making those answers applicable. That's where the gap happens, right? We saw it in 2.0. And it's one of the big breaths of fresh air I was hoping 3.0 was going to give us. And so far from what I've seen online, it kind of has, is every list we went everywhere. I would go to Christian and be like, hey, this guy's playing this army. So we're going to see 10 last cannons, 1 or 2 contemptors, and then let's see what else. Hey, here's a guy playing Imperial Fist. So he'll have some last cannons, some autocannons, a dreadnought, and let's see what's else. Right. It became where there was just one thing to fit everything, right? Then you come across a guy like Duncan. I got to Adepticon and I was like, all right, Duncan, let's see your list. He goes, it's 7 Land Raiders with 7 units of Ravagers in them. And I was like, oh, crunchy. Right. So does it technically have it for everything? Yeah. There's 7 pairs of last cannons out there. There's 70 dudes inside there that their whole purpose in life is to turn people into multi-meal. That's their job. Right? So when you're talking about what do you take in your list, one is you want to play the list the way you want to play it. I cannot stress that enough. Winning is not going to be enjoyable if the way you have to win is boring. Right?
That's fair.
Like, I remember playing with John, when John would play a lot, he'd be like, I know I have to play to win, Gabe, but it's so fucking boring. And I'm like, I get that. I 100% get it. I play Ultramarines, man. Like, we put white sprinkles on vanilla ice cream and it works. Right? I get it. Meanwhile, Christian's over here building this demon of a list, and he's like, well, hey, Gabe, if I want to bring 97 Iron Circle, how do I do it? Right? So I think that's the first question you have to ask yourself is, how do you want to play? Do you want an army that shoots? Do you want an army that shoots people in close combat? Do you want an army that goes, here, have a migraine, and it causes aneurysms? Like, what do you want it to do? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, once you build it, are you actually going to play it to refine it? This is probably one of the biggest pet peeves.
Yep, that's mine right there.
You play a game, right? And like, so you and I played yesterday, or the day before. We played, and
there was a lot of alcohol and sleep involved. But yes,
it was my birthday weekend, man. Like, if you thought I was going to be sober for that, we're all mistaken. So we played, and you were like, man, this unit feels underwhelming, and this unit feels underwhelming, and this unit doesn't feel like it does what it needs to do. And I'm sitting here looking across. I'm like, well, you lined up Kanatai across from Pyroclast. That was an uphill fight in ice skates.
Yeah.
There were the 3 Saturnines, and I specifically put the 3 Saturnines in front of your plasma cannons. And I was like, cool, I'm going to delete these guys. And you're like, I'm going to shoot back. I'm like, that is an MVP decision. Using slingshots on a minivan can scratch the paint, but it's not going to hurt anybody inside.
I mean, I was going to lose them, so.
Right. It wasn't a bad decision on your part.
That's how
when
I look at it. They're going to die, so I might as well get something out of it.
Right. I mean, oh, absolutely, it was a good decision. I'm not questioning your decision. I'm questioning what you want to change in that list to make it play the way you want to play it and still have the answers, right? Which leads into the third part of playing this game that I will also like. I'm inviting anyone from any group to argue with me, to try and disprove my point. I'll even ask GW the same question because it's in their rulebook. Why the hell are you trying to get new players to play at 3,000 points? Like, No, real question, right? So, and this is what it is, right? One of the coolest things I've played recently was the Grand Team Tournament at Adepticon and the Team Tournament. And here's the reason why. I've always been a fan of escalation leagues because the mental mindset you have at 750 points and then 1,000 points and then 1,500 points, you're not just learning to play the game, you're learning to play the game in baby steps. And you're learning to build your army in baby steps. And part of that is, your first interaction with Horus Heresy should not have Primarchs in it. Your first interaction of Horus Heresy should not be balancing 80 bodies on a table. I feel like your first game should be 1,000 to 1,500 points and then build from that. And that's where the reps come in if you're going to refine the army, right? It's really hard unless you've got a lot of reps under your belt and you've got a lot of experience playing games. It's really hard to get 3,000 points on a table that's cohesive, plays the way you like it right off the bat. I think I'm on year 33 of playing tabletop wargaming, specifically Warhammer. And there's still times I'll build a list, I'll go put it out there, and I'll play against somebody like Jody, and I'll get there and be like, oh, this sucks. Right, point in case, I was like, I'm going to do this awesome thing. I'm going to bring a badass close combat Ultramarine army, right? And I was like, yeah, I got this, and I got this, and I get this. And I show up, and Jody's like, yeah, I'm playing Blood Angels. I'm like, what'd you bring? He's like, I brought a gunline list. I'm like, you fucking what? Dude, I got chewed up. I got massacred. And I got massacred by a gunline army for a close combat themed force and just got massacred. And I was like, well, if it didn't work against those guys, it's not going to work against anything else. Right? So it takes time and reps. That's where you start learning about all these other units that, like, one of the favorite questions you ever asked me, Kyle, was, hey, Gabe, what is all this other shit I've never seen in a list?
Yeah, yeah. You're like, what? And I was like, I'm going through NewRecruit, and I see all of these things that are an option, and I've never seen them on the table.
Yeah, you were like, hey, what's a Seeker Squad? And I'm like, you don't play Alpha Legion. You'll never use them. But they're basically like super scouts, right? And so that's when you play smaller games and you start leaning into some of those things, you start finding stuff you like. I've got a buddy of mine who plays an all tank Blood Angels list. Now, is it good? In my experience, it was not.
Why wasn't it good, Gabe? What did you line up against it? I think people need to know what you played against that list.
So here's the thing, though: is he's still playing the army the way he wants to play it. And that's the thing is, you can get your ass absolutely stomped and still have a good time. You can also win and feel bad the entire time.
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's where I think the most important question you have to ask yourself when you're building these lists is, what do you want to play out of it? What do you want it to be? And that also leads into understanding the basics. I am really, really, really aggravated and tired of players that can tell me something really crazy. Like in this instance, right? The guys are like, man, Fire Drakes are so awesome because they got Vanguard 4 and they got this and they got this and they got this. And I'm like, that's fantastic. What's the rest of your army do? I'll wait. Well, you don't understand. All I'm going to need are these Fire Drakes. I can understand that. They are terrifying. I can tell you right now, I agree with Michael that Fire Drakes are a problem. Fantastic. I also think that if you're building your army around the concept of only 3 units on the table or even 30 guys on the table, and that's the linchpin of your list, I promise I will break your dreams every time I play you.
Yes, because I also think that when you build a list, for some reason, everyone, I'm not going to say everyone, majority of people have this thought process of when they build a list, everything's going to go 100% correct, and that this is going to happen, that's going to cause a chain reaction for me to do this, and then this, and then this, and they just magically believe that that's going to happen. And when it doesn't and their list falls apart, they're like, why did that happen? Like, I guess on paper when they thought about it, it sounded good, but it's a dice game. It's probably not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen.
Well, so, and then in getting back to basics, right? Because I think this is a profound misunderstanding with the game is basics. is when you're you're kicking and screaming and you're running your list and you're doing all the cool stuff and you're just rolling across everybody. Are those only the people you play with at home? So here's what I mean by that, right? You're playing a tabletop war game. Majority of our viewers will also understand they play like D&D, right? Everyone has a group of guys. Everybody has a group of guys that play D&D with, and every one of those guys has one guy in that group they really want to beat with a shovel. Right? There's at least one dude who's always like, well, if I take this and put it in this, I can engineer an arrow that creates a black hole. And you're like, but did you know how to do that? Why are you metagaming, right? Heresy is the exact same thing. If you are kicking the shit out of everybody at your local LGS, but you're not going to big events, you don't impress me. It's really easy to dominate a small group of people in a very small place. It's especially easy if you have a wealth of knowledge and experience that those players don't have, and your goal is to dominate them, not to educate them, so that you have a challenge. That's a personal game preference. Is like when you guys play against me, I do my best to bring you up. Right? I want you to have a list that whenever I get done playing it, I'm like, holy shit, that gave me a headache. I need Tylenol in a shot.
This will impress everybody that knows you. I have won all but one games I've played against you.
Pretty
Because
much.
all of those games, minus this fucking Salamanders game that we played this weekend, have been this is how you play this game because you let me win, and you told me, hey, you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah, like I want players, all players. I want them all to have. I want the experience to be unanimously the same, and that experience is you played the way you wanted to play it, win or lose. That's what it should be, right? Now, asterisk.
I also no. Before you put your asterisk in there, I do have to step up and say, I'm not bragging because I know that it was all because you let me. It's like when
Ast-
it's like when the adult mommy wolf lets the baby wolves win because they need to know how to win.
so small asterisk. Christian understands this very well. If you go somewhere and you call somebody out, you should 100% be ready to get your shit wrecked. Like, like if I go today and I'm like, you know what, Duncan, I'm tired of your old ass. I'm playing right now, playing for keeps. If he pushes my shit in, I had that coming. I asked for that game.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm not talking shit.
No. I'm getting to the point of this. Every opponent is going to be a little bit different, and you need to learn to treat those people as individual opponents, not part of the core game. Like, so what I mean by that is I know that when I go and play Duncan, I can play Duncan no holds bar, both feet forward, hands up, ready to rock, let's go. Because he's going to give me as hard as I give him, right? If I go and play a brand new player to store in a practice game, I'm going to I'm going to take all the craziness out of it. I'm going to put the gloves on, and I'm going to say, okay, cool. Let's go through the basics. And I'm going to take an army. I'm pretty good about when I play new players, I bring an army that has a little bit of every portion of the game. So there's some psychic powers, there's some shooting, there's some transports, there's some, some jank with like panic and things like that. Like I'm going to bring everything I can to show you the full mechanics of the game so that you don't run into situations where you played one game with a guy and a week later you played another person. You were like, I never heard about panic. What's panic? Well, the guy I played never talked about that. That must not be real. And that leads into the last portion of the basics. What I say is not gospel. What any other podcast says is not gospel. Most of the podcasts that I interact with and I talk to and like I rub shoulders with, especially guys over at ABB, they're kind of in the same kind of category as this. What we're saying is not the end all be all. We're trying to point you in a good direction. I want to point you in a direction where you'll want to play the game, have fun with the game, do stuff with the game, I'm not pointing in the direction of this is how you alienate people and lose friends. That should be the last objective of any army that you build. Learning the basics is probably the most essential thing that I can tell you. And that's where I don't think that building at 3,000 points is a responsible decision for a new player. I thought it was really chicken shit of GW to say, hey, here's a brand new Saturnine box. It's going to have about 1,800 points worth of models, but we recommend you play at 3,000 points. Dick move. Like, I honestly feel like escalation leagues are the best way to learn. You should start at somewhere between 750 and 1,000 points and work your way up progressively across like a 6 to 10 week process. And in that, your brain will stretch in different ways. Playing at 3,000 points from a new standpoint is underwhelming in multiple ways. It's underwhelming in having so many models to control. It's also underwhelming in like you go and put in a tactical squad, you're like, all right, cool, that's 100 points. How many do you have left? 2,900. So now you're facing the issue of you're a brand new player. You've got to find a way to build out 3,000 points. You have to build it. You have to paint it. Then you're going to go play it. And guess what? You were just trying to get points on the board, so you didn't build the army the way you wanted to play it because you really didn't know. And now you've got about 800 points worth of models that you're like, I don't know why I built and paint this. That's why I
You're
think
not
it's
going to know the value of your models either, because, like Gabe said, if you bring a Primarch to a 3,000 point game, you might start valuing everything based off that Primarch or the Lord of War or whatever big unit you bring. You're going to start. Some people think differently, but I've seen people go like, well, why am I going to bring these tactical squads if, they can't even deal with this, or their value per points doesn't match up to this model over here. I think you need to play lower point games to value lower model, lower count, like tactical marines and stuff like that. You need to play with those models first to figure out what they do and why they're good and why everyone's taking them.
Yeah, and the other thing about that too is like it's really hard to build models you'll never use again. That's really hard to do.
GW makes it
Especially
easy for you.
oh,
Oh,
it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. I've never really actually been in a situation where I was just like, I painted this model. Here it goes into the case, never to be seen again. It's very rare that it happens.
unless
But
GW makes you do it.
to a degree. But I feel like what a lot of the missing stuff happening right now in the game is that people are seeing what everyone else is doing and they imitate it. Which, don't get me wrong, imitation is a fantastic form of flattery. I'm glad that some people have imitated some of the things that I've built. I will also tell you that I would much rather you go and just ask me like, hey, I want to build a 1,000 point legion. Where should I start? And I would say, with models. Well, how do you want to play it? What legion do you want to play and how do you want to play it? And I'll be more than happy to walk you through it. Totally 100%. What I don't want to do is like, hey, I'm going to an event in March and it's 3,000 points. What should I take? Okay, so you want to fly a plane and you don't know how to ride a bike. That's what I'm hearing. Right? And so basics are important, and that goes into playing the game as well, right? I have watched players have lists that I see the list on paper, and this is a problem that I have, and I'll wholeheartedly admit it. I can look at a list and I see how it works. And I'm like, that's going to be a problem. And then I watch you play it, and you're like, oh, I get it. It's stupid, right? And that's just because I know how I play and how I see a list and how I see it unfolding. That's why it's important to know how you want to play the list. I look at things on paper and I'm like, man, I could play the shit out of this list. And then I watch the other guy play it and I'm like, what is he doing? And then I watch him get really, really excited. He's like, yep, this gives this to this. This gives this to this. I'm going to shoot it over there and it does this. And I'm like, okay, he really wanted to get that combination off. That's cool. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you did the mechanic you wanted to do. You see those lists and you see how they're played. I see how you deploy. I see how you do things. And I'll notice off the bat during deployment, I'll be like, okay, that's a good mismatch for me. That's a bad mismatch for me. And you will see me completely shift my dynamic during the gameplay because, it goes into the soup and fork argument. You don't eat soup with a fork. And this is something that Kyle and I ran into across our game. Is there were a lot of situations where Kyle was like, man, I'm going to try and take on that squad. And I'm like, that's an awfully fine, sharp fork to handle that soup with. There's some units that are not made to handle other units. There are some units that feel like they can handle just about anything, and then you hit them with a rock. They just poof in just the right circumstances. So the basics also comes down to playing the list the way you want to play it, but know the limitations of what your army can and can't do. In Kyle's instance, Kinatai Cult. I love Kinatai Cult. I think they're still going to be really good this edition. They're going to be fantastic. Where they fall short to a degree is they are not an elite unit that was made to challenge and kill other elite units. They're really good at running down a tactical squad or a despoiler squad or a breacher squad or an assault squad. Any of your normal scoring line troops, Kinatai Colt are going to make just lunch out of them. But if you charge a unit of fire drakes, you're not winning that fight. One, because they hit harder than you. Two, they're tougher than you. Three, they're harder for you to wound overall in general, even with the saturation of attacks, things like that. Like, it's a bit of a mismatch. The same Kinatai Occult charging a unit of, say, like breachers or even wardens, like Iron Warriors wardens. I think they'll take on a unit of warders just fine. I don't know why I was saying warders. I think they can take on warders just fine, in mass. I think they'd make just a quick meal of them. But that's in knowing when you're playing the game, deploying, where to put things up, and how to manipulate the battlefield to work for you instead of against you. Knowing where the objectives are, that's one of the things about 3.0 that's going to be really, really important is PTFO is going to be completely like prime if you're wanting to play to win. PTFO is going to be the main thing you have to do. So that's you building your list to have vanguard units to push people off of objectives or scoring units to get them on objectives. When I say scoring units, I mean like line and things like that, where you can actually play with those things. But you still have the same one-to-one comparisons we saw in 2.0 and all the way back to 1.0, where we saw, hey, Terminators are really good at a certain thing and they're really bad at other things. There's always going to be a hard counter. There's always going to be a mismatch. You should be ready to account for that during your deployment, during your gameplay. If you know it's a no-win situation, like there's no need to be the guy to die on the hill. So like, keep that in mind. So going back to the beginning, Kyle, does that answer majority of your question?
Goddamn, Gabe could ramble. I'm not gonna lie to you, Gabe. Me and Kyle are sitting there. I messaged Kyle and I was like, "Hey, did he answer your question? Are we gonna go over your list, or do we just let him ramble?" And he's all like, "He's having fun. Just let him go with it."
No, so when I say if that answered your question, like the original question was, how do you build the list and how do you know what to take in the list? Step one, what do you want the list to do, man?
PTFO.
PTFO, you want to play the fucking objectives. Cool. Gotcha. All right. So if we're talking about playing objectives, and we're talking about doing this with Thousand Suns, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. We can edit this out if we need to, but do you want to build this on NewRecruit and record your screen doing it so we can watch?
We can't really do that because all of the legacy units are not NewRecruit yet.
Quick editor's note, everybody. I went back while editing the video and followed along a little bit on the NewRecruit to show what I was clicking, where I was clicking it. I mostly followed along. I got kind of distracted, I'm not gonna lie, but I love NewRecruit. I love looking at all the different things that you can do. But I did get through it. There will be a link to the list at the in the description. If you want to copy it, I don't know why you would, but if you want to. And so yeah, we didn't think it was within our capabilities to do it, but I deliver because I'm a badass. So yep.
I know we were talking about how you want to build the list. I just want to throw one more question because we did bring this up while you were talking, Gabe. What point system do we want to start out as? Because I agree. We all agree with you. Me and Kyle do at least. Is 3,000 points is. I don't think new players should start out at 3,000 points. So what point value are we going to start at? We know the new box. If you buy a new box with all the rules, all the things of it, it's about 1850, I think, somewhere around there.
No, it's just under 1,800 with
Okay.
with about a 75 point flex up or down based on war gear options.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could throw
Um,
Vexillas in there and shit like that.
Yeah, like there's some ways to there's about a 75 point swing up or down on that, depending on how you kit war gear, weapons, things on the Saturnines, things like that. If you are brand new, it is your first game, 1,000 points is where you need to start. The reason I say it's 1,000 points is because 1,000 points is enough for you to dip your toe into whatever you want to dip your toe into. Not enough to be overwhelming, and you eliminated out a lot of the stupid that you don't need to interact with at the beginning of the game. Kyle, did you have a question?
No, I was gonna say 1,500 because it's half of a full 1,000 or full 3,000 game.
No, so okay, fair point. The reason I say 1,000 is those 2,000 points to grow. There's a lot of stuff that you take at even 1,500 points that you can't afford to take at 1,000, and in my opinion, you need to experience that drought of money, that drought of points.
You got to be poor to appreciate being rich.
It's dude. I say the same thing about airbrushes, right? Airbrushes should be like your first car. The first one should be a complete hunk of shit, so you know how to treat the next one when you buy it, right? The same kind of applies to lists. You should be able to work with small things, and it'll help you with tactics later on in the game. Christian has seen me do this firsthand. I actually break my big lists into multiple smaller vanguards in my head. So I'll look and say, okay, this section of my army, this third is my firepower section. These are my guns. They're going to handle these specific assignments. This is my all around just net catch. This is what I'm going to use to do certain things with. And then these guys are what are going to hold my objectives and hold the ground for me. And as the game goes on, when I start taking losses in one section of this list or another, the other is made to move in to accommodate for that. That's how I build, because that's why I play Ultramarines, because I play like Ultramarines fight. I play very logistically inclined. Like things are always moving. It's very rare I'm standing still. It's always very ebb and flow, right? You learn how to do that at 1,000 points. You don't learn how to do that at 3,000. That's why I think even at 1,500 points, there's a little bit more for you to keep up with, and also 1,000 points is going to be a little bit more on you learning the actual basics of the game.
Yeah, so let's build for 1,000, but then let's make it a little bit more complicated for ourselves and see if we can start adding on. Like, hey, 1,000 points, 2,000 points. Let's see if we could make a good base, a good core, and see if we could add on a little bit to 2,000 points, and then go from there.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is your detachments, right? So you have your primary Crusade detachment. This is where you need to pick your HQ, right? Who do you want leading this army? Who's going to be your guy? We're playing 1,000 points, right? So this is where the mental gymnastics change. At 3,000 points, you want a guy running the show, like Aramon or Amon, or you want like a Praetor or something like that. At 1,000 points, you don't need all that. At 1,000 points, you need a solid, consistent guy that'll give you some detachments, to give you some options. And then a lot of your points are going to go into war gear. War gear is what's going to set you apart at 1,000 points. So looking at your command or your high command, right? So you can bring Centurions or any of that other kind of stuff. I would honestly tell you, at 1,000 points, I would bring a Prosperine Sorcerer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Insert model that nobody's really ever plays with. Prosperine Sorcerer, right? And so at base, he's 105 points. But what makes him really, really cool is he comes standard with a few different things. He comes standard with the Biomantic Slam. He's got the Prosperine Staff. You know, he's got some wildfire abilities. He's got some other, you know, ranged attacks that he can mess with. And he's still got a bunch of other rules that if you choose to build on him later, he will be viable later. So we'll start with a sorcerer. From there, you need to be able to score. So I have a rule. I'll always bring 2 tacticals. I know a lot of guys are like, "Oh, it sounds like old FOC." You know, scoring units are good. Have scoring units.
Yeah,
Now,
I think you should always at start at 1,000 points at least bring 2 of those good scoring units. When you bump it up another 1,000 points, maybe bring 1 more. I think at 3,000 points minimum, you should bring at least 4 scoring units. 2,000 points 3, 1,000 points 2. Those numbers could bump up depending on how you want to play, how you want the list to go. But that's my personal take on that. I don't know about you, Gabe, or Kyle, if you like scoring units or not, but that's my personal take on that.
I don't hate it. It's just a matter of what the definition of a scoring unit is. Everything can score, but I want the guys to score heavy. I want tacticals. I want line. I want
Yep.
ways to get
Yes.
line. You know, that's what I'm looking at in the list.
So would we make this guy the prime unit because there's only 1,000 points?
Well, so we'll get there because you've
Okay.
technically got 2 prime slots that we can mess with, and so we're gonna go step by step, and we're gonna build this out. So you've got a Prosperine Sorcerer, you've got a couple of tactical squads. Now, your Prosperine Sorcerer has unlocked 1 auxiliary detachment for you. Now, what I would take is probably a support squad. I would take the tactical support detachment, and I would bring a tactical support squad. And I would give it your, let me actually pull it up and look it up, because this is the other problem is GW chose to break everything up into 500 documents. Thanks for that, GW. I appreciate you for that.
I think Crusade prime.
Somebody was out there like, you need to learn to read. Thousands.
Yeah.
So, because you have different kinds of asphyx bolters and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So 1, 3.
Yeah, so you can take asphyx bolters on all of your guys for, what is it, like 3 points per model?
I don't have the book. I don't know.
Yeah, so
I
3
do, I do
points.
have the book. Hold on. It's
Yeah,
my
PDF.
That's the one I do have. Right here. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so
Page
here we are.
18. Yeah.
So 10 guys, 3 points apiece. We're going to add 30 points in. Right now, I don't have
Asphyx bolters are 3 points a model. Yeah.
3 points apiece. Yeah, so that'll be 30 points per squad.
Of 10.
Yeah, so we're looking at 130 points. Now, the cool thing about asphyx bolters is they're going to give you an answer to some problems that not a lot of people have, and that is getting critical hits essentially on bolt guns. That's essentially what rending does. Rending gives critical hits on 6s, is essentially what it turns out to. On top of that, so you have 2 squads that are doing that. I would bring a tactical support squad, and if I remember correctly, you can give them. Can you give them ether fire blasters, or is that only for the heavy weapons?
No. Oh, for tactical support?
Yeah.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of arguing with NewRecruit right now.
So I would say yes to give them the. I would take a heavy. I would take a heavy support squad, and I would give them the ether fire blasters because that's just an awesome gun.
Yeah, that thing is going to be legit. So we're going to make it a 10-man squad, right?
Yep.
All right. So it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Too many.
And
Nine,
those
9 and 1. 9 and a
and those
7.
and those ether fire blasters are 15 points apiece.
Yeah.
So that should be an additional 150. So that should be a 250 point squad.
Oh. So it changes to.
And in all actuality, so here's again where these kind of mental gymnastics come into effect. I wouldn't bring a squad of 10. I would bring 2 squads of 5.
Okay.
Because you're looking 125 points a squad for squads of 5. And I think you and I both have experienced this now where firing 10 templates at one squad may not be the play.
Yeah. That
But
may be a
being able to
little
put
overkill.
Yeah, being able to put 5 templates on 2 separate squads, that's fantastic and that's flexible.
If only
Yeah, giving yourself options just in case you already overkill one target, you can shoot somewhere else.
Yeah, because you still can't split fire.
So it'd be a 100-point squad.
I
I
think
just
125.
I've got 150. So it's 20 points per model.
20 points.
The Aether Fire Cannon.
Oh, it is 20 points. Okay.
Yeah. So it's 150 points. You said 2 of those?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's going to give us kind of some answers. Now, here's where you've got to make some decisions as a Thousand Suns player. Do any of these guys need Prosperine Arcana?
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
so they're cool.
I think that your Ether Fire Blasters, I think they need Corvidae.
The plasma cannons.
Actually, no, I take that back. They do not. That is a flaw in my thinking. That is incorrect.
Because it says blast.
Because
Excluding
it's
blast.
because it's a blast weapon. No. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they need it. What I would do is I would take your tactical squads and your heavy weapon sports. I would leave them as they are.
So no Prosper cannon for them.
No. What I would do is I would take your first tactical squad. I would make it a prime unit because it can be. And I would add a logistical benefit. And this is where Gabe's weird brain of stuff comes in, and you're going to love this. And a lot of people are about to get really itchy as I say it. You're going to add a support squad. And for that support squad, you're going to take some Melt-A-Guns. Tactical support squad with Melt-A-Guns.
You're gonna add a
And you're
drop pod to this list too.
and you're going to give them Corvidae. Now, the reason that we're giving them Corvidae is because of what Rending does. Rending says that on your roll to hit, if you get the Rend, then it automatically turns into a wound. This means that your Melt-A-Guns are going to essentially get a chance to double up their wound count statistically, because any of your 5s to hit after your Corvidae are going to auto wound, and then you'll just roll to wound with the Melt-A-Guns. Since Melt-A-Guns are strong and they already do a lot of work, this is going to really help the statistical probability of you wounding.
Okay, I have a question for you, Gabe.
Sure.
Why are we bringing Melt-A-Guns? Now,
Why are we bringing what?
why are we bringing Melt-A-Guns? Now, I'm just thinking out loud. At 1,000 points, do you actually see someone else maybe bringing some armor, for some Terminators? Like, what are we putting these Melt-A-Guns in the list for? What are we
The
covering with them?
I think that the Melt-A-Guns are your answer for any stiff unit.
Okay.
They are your fill in for, hey, this is a really scary unit and I don't really know how to handle it, so I'm going to use just really, really hard hitting guns.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm arguing with NewRecruit as I'm building this. You said melt a gun on a so we're gonna rewind a little bit for the people who are slow like me. The TAC support squad, I mean the tactical squad that is in our primary detachment that we got
Yep.
unlocked by the primary crusade detachment.
Mhm.
We make one of them a prime unit.
Well, the first one is a prime slot.
Right.
The prime slots are never anything you can or can't take. They will always be prime. So
Right.
you'll take that as a prime unit. You'll give it the logistical benefit, and that will unlock one slot of your choice, and you'll take a support.
Right. And then we select the support to be a 5-man tactical support squad with melt-a-guns.
Yep, and Corvidae.
And Corvidae. Yeah. Okay. And that squad would be 125 points.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page. Right now I'm sitting at 790 points.
Now you've got 110 points to play with. But here's where we're running into a situation where your options are being narrowed down. You've got 100 some odd points to play with. I'm sorry, 210 points. 210 points. But you don't have any detachments left. The only way to get more detachments is to add another command slot.
Which is available, but
yeah, you've got them. It's just a matter of points.
80 points.
That's the cheapest, yeah, is 80 points. Now, what you can do is they have an op day. Op days are basically just really sharp sergeants. But that will open another option. So if you take that op day and you just put him there as bare bones as he is, it will open one more auxiliary detachment. Now it's a matter of what you want to bring in that auxiliary detachment. At this point level, I really want to find a way to get some Kinatai Occult in there. I also think that it would be really cool to get a unit of Sockmet Terminators in there, but I don't think you've got the points for either. What do you feel?
Let's see. So with that, I click the op day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that he does add another detachment.
Anything you take in your command slots.
Okay.
Anything taken in a command slot will unlock one auxiliary detachment, period.
Oh, I see that. I see it over here. Okay. Let's see.
So what is missing from the flavor of your list that you could take?
A tarantula battery turret.
Hey, don't talk shit about those, man. I'm kind of want to bring those in fucking Iron Warriors. I'll make you eat those goddamn words.
I just wanted Gabe's reaction, and all I got was pure silence.
Yeah, you'll get no reaction to that. Now, that new Arachna quad turret, not bad.
An arachnid accelerator platform.
Yeah, not bad.
Hey, from a 1,000-point perspective, that could be something you throw in there, man.
I like it actually. So if you're bringing an attachment and you're going to bring I think that's under support again.
It is, yeah. It doesn't. For some reason, it won't let me select it.
It's 125 points, and it's not a bad piece of gear.
Oh, there it is. I was clicking it from the wrong line. Yeah.
What I like about it is it has an automatic Pavis, that's a throwback to first edition.
Oh,
you used to have these.
It does not let me because I don't have a support detachment available.
You do. You just haven't gone up and added it in for your op day.
Okay, so I'll click the op day.
Nope, don't click the op day. Go all the way back to the top and click where it says your Thousand Suns Crusade detachment. All the way at the top.
Yeah.
And it'll open the detachments on the side. You'll just add another tactical support detachment.
And don't worry, folks. I know this is kind of confusing. This is Kyle's first time going through it. It will be my first time going through it when I make my list. I think we will do an actual video and show y'all how to work. What are we using right now?
NewRecruit.
NewRecruit.
we'll show people if you join the Discord or whatever and join with us because we already have people asking about lists. We'll show you how to use NewRecruit, and if there's something we're missing, show us how to use NewRecruit as well, because there's a few little tabs that are in there that I still don't think we know what they do.
So back
Yeah,
on back on Q, Kyle. Did you find the additional attachment?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it did.
So then you can add the Arachne Quad Accelerator platform if you'd like to use it. I think it's a good gun, and I like the automatic Pavis gives a 5-up invul to everyone within 3 inches of the turret, which is pretty awesome. But it does detonate, so I wouldn't put that near anything you like.
Yeah.
Or you
I'm
can
kind of joking about that.
If you choose not to take the accelerator platform, what you can do is you can take your Castellax Automata.
Yeah.
Not a horrible idea,
I could take
because he comes with an Asphyx bolt cannon.
Well, let me see if there's anything that. Okay, so I could take 2 of them.
You could take 2 of them, and that puts you smack at 1,000. Now, cool things about these automatas, because you've never read into these before. So they do have Asphyx bolt cannons, which have rending 4+. Gross. They are also psychic, and they are assault weapons. So since they're assault, that means we can volley with them. And they have claws that have breaching 5, but they have some other rules that you'll need to read, like Psychic Conduit and Cult Arcana and all that kind of stuff that's specific to you. And they also have some stuff called Firestorm. So when they volley, they don't make snapshots. I think that would be a good place for you to start at 1,000 points. This would still have the flavor of Thousand Suns. And I think it'd be really fun to play.
Yeah, and I honestly do think people should challenge themselves in their play group or whatever to play at 1,000 points with each other. At least take 2 tactical units, and then try to put the flavor of your army in there. As Kyle did, he got himself a flavorful HQ. If I was playing Iron Wars, I'll do the exact same thing. The lists are probably going to be similar. That last 250 points is going to where you're going to have your own spin on the army. And I think you'll have fun with that. You'll have quick games, and some of the fun I had playing games were at the lower points. So I don't know. What's your take on that, Kyle? What do you think about the list?
This looks fun. I've been wanting to expand my list. Like, what I had was okay for 2.0, and then in 3.0 it doesn't translate very well. So yeah, I like the sorcerer. I like having the idea of having the sorcerer with the different the new psychic abilities that they have. And then the automata, I've never used the automata because everything in 2.0 said that they weren't worth the time.
Yeah, so the automata are going to be pretty fun. They're going to be pretty good. Don't get me wrong, the ballistic skill, weapon skill, they can't hit the broadside of a barn painted in neon purple. But I think they're going to be fun. Those bolt cannons having rending 4 is gross.
My God, their ballistic skills 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play it out, Kyle. Play it out and see how you like them, bro. Don't let that deter you from.
You're gonna know what it's like to
game.
be Astra Militarum for a change, man.
Yeah.
So this should be a good place to start. I think it's going to catch the feel of Thousand Suns, and it's going to give you enough to play the objectives and do what you're wanting to do. So now it comes into the second part of this, and this is something I want everyone else to understand as well. Kyle, you will not modify this list until you've played it 5 times.
Yeah, don't. Like we said in the beginning, just play the list. couple times before we start making changes. I would say play the list at least 3 times.
Right. That's the rule. That's the rule of the game that we're playing.
The reason why we don't want to modify it, and this is for everyone listening, there's a lot of veterans listening that play this game. They've been playing for a long time, a lot of veteran players, and they still don't abide by this concept. You don't know how it plays until you play it, and playing it once is not the road mark for success. You need to play through a list 5 to even 10 times sometimes, especially at higher point values, 3,000 points. You're going to have to put some time into playing that list to really know what it can and can't do, and to know what's actually broken, both in good and bad ways, right? Nobody wants to be the guy who shows up and just like, yep, met a bunch of baby squirrels today, smacked them with a stick. It was a great time. You don't want to be that guy. You also want to be, you don't also don't want to be the seal, right? You don't want to get clubbed in the water. So play it a few times, 5 specifically. After you've played that through, then take notes on what you find. Like, hey, I've noticed in every game, this doesn't do what I want it to do. Okay, well, is this a fork and soup situation, or is it actually useless? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing we want to look at is, did it achieve the goal? Were you able to play the objective? Were you able to take advantage of your cool Arcana kind of stuff? If not, do you want to change the objective or change the list? Because this is another thing that Christian can attest to, and a bunch of the other guys that we talk to and play with can attest to. You will make a list that set out to do one thing, and then you find out it's really, really good at this other thing. Like when I first started playing Ultramarines in 2.0, I was like, yeah, these guys suck. And then I learned how to make the mechanics do a certain thing during a game, and I was like, oh, I can assassinate anybody I want. Neat. So definitely keep an eye, keep notes on what you like, what you don't like. And from there, we'll meet back up, we'll analyze the notes, and then you can say, like, hey, I'm changing this because I think this is better. Great. That'll be part of the growing process. And then the other thing that you're going to have to fight after this is, once you play this a few times and you want to go to, say, 1,500 points or 2,000 points, a lot of this isn't going to fit anymore.
Right. Its uses are no longer useful.
Because there's an elevated stair program that happens between small points and high points. Things that were really scary at 1,000 points are nothing at 3,000. So keep that in mind. So any more feedback?
That also one thing I would also say is, it's also another little challenge, because I know we say, hey, you want to change at 1,000, you want to change at 1,000. After those 5 games, figure out what works and what doesn't. And me personally, this is what I would do. I wouldn't change the 1,000 point list. If I think the list needs more flair of Thousand Suns, when I go up to 1,500 points, I would try to add to that list and go from flair from like there. I don't think I would personally touch the list until I reach 2,000 points. Because like Gabe said, I believe every 1,000 points you go up, stuff doesn't work the same. And that's where I would start changing it. What are your thoughts on that? Or is that just me, Gabe?
No, I totally agree. Like I would love to play a list a certain number of times and like slow grow it up and go to a certain point. And then after I've played a certain amount of games with it, I don't have to retool the entire list. I can just be like, okay, I don't like this one thing that doesn't work at 3,000 now. Where
Yeah.
it becomes kind of a challenge of where you're going to really like learn from this is as you grow and you like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. You played through all that entire process and you kept the same list all the way up. And then a month after that, we're like, hey, everybody build 3,000 point lists and let's roll. Then from scratch, you will be able to look at a list and say, you know what? I have never liked how that worked. It's never done what I wanted it to do. I'm not putting that in my new 3,000 point list. and you actually have the experience and the knowledge and the information to build a 3,000 point list from scratch to go play at a big event, that you're not going to feel under or overwhelmed with that list, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing, all of you organizers out there, you guys who run events and all the things, can we get some shit that isn't 3,000 points?
Gabe, you know how many how many of them are going, we have apocalypse games, Gabe. That's the only thing that's not at 3,000 points.
The whole thing is like, right, okay, point in case, right? We're about to go to Warzone next month, and we're about to go in here and we're going to play this game, and I'm so fucking stoked for Warzone. I'm ready for it, you know. But there are a bunch of new players that are like, yeah, I'd really love to play it, but 3,000 points is a lot. They're not wrong, right? There should be an in-between. Now, the downside of that, as someone who runs events, who helps with a lot of events, you don't want to split your numbers either, which kind of sucks. Because if I offer a 3,000 point game and a 1,500 point game, I split the number.
Some people only show up for the 1,500 points. Some people only show up for the 3,000.
Correct.
And now all of a sudden you can't play because you only have odd numbers of people.
Correct. It's a real world problem. But I'm saying for multi-day events, you know, like specifically things like Adepticon, I love the team tournaments because they play at 1,500. They play, you know, multi-point games in that system. I love it. I wish there was a sum in between to get that at smaller events, and I'm not sure how to do it, but I'd be curious for there to be a way to get there, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So
I honestly think that the days that y'all have the apocalypse games, I think that's where you could start, like, because the new players aren't going to have the big stuff. I barely have big units to play in that apocalypse game. That's usually why I don't play in them right now. It would be cool to run a side. What event is it where they run the side event where you take like a HQ choice and you just fucking roll it out, just 1v1?
I'm sorry, ask that again.
Which event was it that you said that like they just take one HQ choice and it's usually like a Praetor, I think, the whole time, and you all just 1v1 and roll out the dice. You just take your Praetor there, no fancy rolls or anything. That's, I think, what they should do at 1,000 points.
So there's a couple. So I know that at Warzone, I don't know if it's happening this year or not, but there are two After Dark events. One is called Dreadnought Boxing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's another one called the Praetor / Primarch fight, where you just line up and just go ham. But those events are actually played in like one of the old WWE style like toy things.
Mm-hmm.
And where you normally get reactions in like a 3,000 point game, where it's like you get a shooting reaction or whatever. They're like, nope, you get a steel chair off the top rope. Those events are really fun. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that during the APOC fight, there could be some tables set up where some guys play some smaller games that maybe impact the game later on. I know it's what we do at Lakehammer, and it's pretty successful.
Yep.
But I don't know what the in-between is. Like I said, I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like there needs to be an answer that isn't, you'll always play 3,000 points, stop being poor.
You got to be poor to appreciate being rich.
Well, I just, this game isn't cheap. And even when you go and buy a brand new starter box, it's still about 1,000 points light of where you need to be for Games Workshop's like, we want you to play at 3,000 points. It used to be once upon a time we played at 2,500 points, and then it became 3,000 points. And I'm, you know, just, I'm in this mindset of I don't mind playing at 3,000 points as someone who has a really large collection, but I feel that part of the reason why we have such smaller numbers compared to Warhammer 40,000 isn't just the culture, but it's also the culture behind what a game is. You know, when you go to a Warhammer event, it's 2,000 points. The armies are not near as big or as dense or as hard to transport. It's a little bit more accommodating for players, and I feel like there should be some in between for us to reach that point. That's Gabe's unpopular heresy opinion.
Unpopular to the people that actually have a crap load of models, I think.
Yeah, like as I noticed with this raffle army, it's really hard to build 3,000 from scratch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've done it like 7 times now. I've built an army from scratch and gone straight to 3,000, and every single time I'm like, this sucks.
Random question: was that close to 3,000 points using 2.0 point system?
No.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it was around 2,000 points. But since 3.0 dropped, I added the Saturnine Praetor and the Saturnine Terminators. Because if you're going to raffle off an army, you want to have the new hotness in it.
Yeah, and
True.
you wanted to paint them. Don't lie.
No,
Yeah,
it
but I
was
don't
more.
know if you
It
wanted
was
to
more
paint them
just
the color.
no. What it really turned out to be was from the 2.0 version of the list to 3.0. I didn't have enough slots to field it, so I had to add another Centurion and I had to add a Praetor to get the list to legal because I didn't have enough detachments. Because I took a Spartan, a Deredeo, and a Venator. Cool. Those were all heavy support choices last edition. They all fit into in the FOC, right? And then so I had 2 tactical squads and a tactical support. Sweet, they all fit into the FOC. There was 1 Praetor, it fit in. And then there was the Fire Drakes and the Pyroclast, which were both elites. Cool, they all fit into 1 detachment. Well, with the 3.0, it was like, okay, cool. Well, you can't take a Spartan unless you take a Warlord detachment or a heavy transport detachment, and you can't bring the Pyroclast and the Fire Drakes because they're shock assault and elites. So I had to convert the Praetor into a champion, bring a second Centurion and another Praetor, so that I could afford to bring the Fire Drakes and the Pyroclast and two separate detachments. Dude, it was some Sunny in Philadelphia cardboard shit. It was rough. That's why there was so much added to it, which I'm not mad about it. Like whoever gets that army, I hope that they're stoked with it because it's going to come with everything: the book, the levers, the tokens, the templates. It's going to be a really, really functional army. And having done a playthrough with it just to see how it would work, it's going to be awesome. Whoever gets that is going to leave with a stellar army.
And they'll have room to add to it to make it theirs.
So as it just so happens, there's just enough points to add Vulcan.
You know,
Just saying, the points are
Coincidence?
there.
I think not.
Gabe does take commissions if you want him to paint your Vulcan.
I'll stab you with a spoon.
Gabe was like, edit that out now. Oh, just after Gabe already said that, we have fucking Warzone to go to, Lake Hammer, and he's already also doing a whole bunch of stuff there. And he's like, oh yeah, just drop him some commissions.
Just thinking
Oh,
about your wallet, Gabe.
Well, this feels like a good place to stop.
I'm just saying that you can also put put the price to the point where it would be worth your time to paint it.
No,
Mhm.
like I actually have a policy on commission paints. There I've seen some commission painters in the past, and this is a little off the cuff here. A lot of people don't like working with commission painters because commission painters feel like mechanics. If you don't explain the value behind your commission costs, it's very hard because, for instance, I've done a couple of commissions for Christian, right? And along the way, when I'm doing commissions for people, I ask a shit ton of questions. Hey, did you have something in mind for this? Hey, did you have this, planned out of how you wanted this part to look? Hey, did you have a theme you wanted? You ask those questions because it's kind of like whenever you get something custom from anyone else, right? It sucks when you had an idea in your mind of what it was supposed to look and feel like, and then you get it and you're like, it's not quite there. It's like getting a bad tattoo, you know? And so I've never liked hearing about commission paint jobs where they're like, yeah, it wasn't quite what I wanted. And I'm like, well, what'd you tell the guy? Well, I told him I wanted these models painted. He didn't reach out to you. You didn't reach out to him. Like, y'all didn't discuss the theme. And he's like, No, I just told him I kind of wanted some stuff done. Well, that's kind of like a two-way street, man. Like you can't just walk into a tattoo parlor and just be like, go with what you feel, and then be mad you got what you got.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Meanwhile, I've got another commission I do for another good friend of mine who he sends it to me and he's like, box art. Done. Deal. Box art's easy. I have a picture.
Right.
Right. I'll color by numbers my way through this and we'll be fine. But then you have some guys like, for instance, when I was doing some of John's stuff, he's like, I just want it to look beautiful. And I was like, that is the worst thing you can say.
Right. But I'm
Yeah,
telling
Because
you,
like,
no man on this planet is more proud of that army than he is.
no,
True.
and I'm glad he loves it, right? But that's why I started. I was like, hey, here's some tactical Marines. How do you feel about them? Because I was like, if I'm gonna jack something up, I'm gonna do it on the $50 guys.
Right.
There's a Primark somewhere down this roadmap, and if I mess that up, I gotta hang myself. So I do step by step, and so I ask a lot of questions when I do commissions, right? And so there are a lot of people that have hit me up for commissions and be like, hey, can you pull off this effect? And I'm like, hey, I'll be 100% honest with you, that is outside of my wheelhouse. So I don't consider myself a bad painter by any stretch of the imagination. Like I would say I'm above average. I'm not going to win a golden demon, but I'm above average, right?
I bet you could.
I know a lot of people that paint to meet the minimum. They're like, I need 3 colors. Cool. You tell me you want to hit 3 color minimum, I'll get your arm back to you in 5 days, bro. But if you want it to look good and be a certain place, like we're going to talk a lot. You and I are going to talk a ton through the process of this. That's why I'm really picky about commissions. I'm not against them. And right now I've got a pretty heavy load on my desk. But if you're a commission painter out there and you're listening, like you need to talk to your clients and make sure that you're giving them what they're asking for and they're getting the image they were thinking in their head. That's your job as a painter for painting for somebody else. It's the same as doing art, right? You need to convey the thought they had onto the canvas or onto the model so that when they get that it is as close to what they thought in their head they were going to get. That should be the goal.
So what you're saying is think really hard about what you want your Vulcan to look like and then tell Gabe.
Oh, with a stick. With a stick. So, all right, we'll go ahead and wrap up for tonight then. Guys, thanks for listening. I know that we've kind of beaten this list thing with a stick, but it's really has been the number one thing a lot of people have really been trying to piece together. So, as always, you're welcome to Discord anytime if you want to ask questions about lists, list building, places, games. You're looking for a game, you have an event you want to shout out, it'll be there. But as always, thanks for listening. This has been Late Night Dice, Ramblings from the Warp. Fuck everybody. Happy dice, happy life. We'll catch you on the next one.
Adios.